Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to our webinar today, Rockville, Tenants Paradise, Owner's Oasis, or just a great place to live and work. We are thrilled that you're joining us today, and give me one quick second and we're going to kick off the slideshow for you. So before we get into it, I want to introduce to you all today our experts who are here with us. We have Michelle Day, who is with the Rockville Chamber of Commerce. Welcome, Michelle.
Thank you.
And we have Lori Bauer from Rockville Economic Development Corporation. From after here, I'm going to turn it over to Aaron Gambini and Drew Davis. Aaron is our Assistant Vice President here in Cheer Partners, and he handles the North Rockville market. Drew is an associate here at Cheer Partners, and he handles the North Bethesda market. They're both experts in research. Knowing what's
talking about this a little bit before, that there's a very distinct difference between what we call North Rockville, economics, parking, building class, things like that. So it'd be helpful if you could sort of explain to us what defines Rockville, City of Rockville.
Well, so there are the municipal boundary limits that define what the actual City of Rockville is, and that would be, you can see it, the dark outline around the different planning areas on this map, identify for you what the corporate municipal boundaries are for the City of Rockville. That means anything inside the boundary shown there are properties that pay taxes to the City of Rockville, and the residents there would vote in city elections and things like that. So if you don't live somewhere where you get to go vote for the mayor and council in the City of Rockville, or if your property tax bill does not include a city property tax, then you are outside the municipal boundaries of Rockville.
Gotcha. Understood.
Now, I'll just also add before we leave this slide, so there are also a lot of properties that have Rockville addresses.
Yes.
That are actually not in the city corporate boundaries of Rockville. So in general, the zip codes 20850 and 20851 are all in the municipal boundaries, but you'll also have Rockville addresses in 20852, 03, and 04, which are for the most part outside of the municipal boundaries, but the mailing address is still Rockville. So a lot of people think they are in the City of Rockville because they have a Rockville mailing address, but you're not necessarily in the corporate limits of the City of Rockville.
Understood.
Just because you have a Rockville mailing address.
Right. I think the building that we're sitting in right now actually falls in that category. We have a Rockville mailing address, but we are not in the city.
Right, because you're on what I like to call the wrong side of Shady Grove Road. So it's yeah.
Yeah, and then just to come on that, this is Drew Davis talking. Michelle, can you define that for us? And what does it mean for where does one's business have to be to reside in the Rockville Chamber?
So that's a great question. Disregard this map entirely. And really, you don't have to be within the city limits of Rockville to be a member of the Rockville Chamber of Commerce or to take advantage of what we do in the chamber. If you work in Rockville, if you do business in Rockville, meaning wherever your business is located, if you happen to have clients or do any business within Rockville, the Rockville Chamber of Commerce is a great opportunity for you. We actually have a board member who works in this building right here, so he's technically not in the city limits. We have other businesses that are in areas considered North Bethesda or North Potomac. It just really depends on where you do business. The great thing about this area is that we have a lot of wonderful chambers of commerce, and between all of us, we cover pretty much every square inch of Montgomery County.
Great. Yeah, and to couple that, I mean, for Rockville Economic Development, do you guys just work with businesses specifically in Rockville? But of course you work with businesses that are trying to come into Rockville.
Correct, yeah. So we will work with anyone. We of course target companies that are inside the City of Rockville because you know, we can help make those connections at City Hall with city planning staff or, you know, permitting staff, whoever it happens to be. If they have a Rockville address, but they're actually in unincorporated Montgomery County, for instance, we will do what we can to assist them, but would refer them to one of our counterparts in Montgomery County's Economic Development Corporation.
So let's actually talk about that a little bit, bringing business to Rockville. You know, we realize that there's a lot of competition out there from other markets that are all competing, you know, to attract new business and new talent to their jurisdiction. What could a new business exploring relocation options within Rockville expect to hear if they were to call and ask about incentives or promotions or compelling reasons to consider Rockville for their business?
Right. So, I mean, you know, we have our general pattern that we use when we're trying to attract businesses to move into the city, you know, where we're highlighting the diverse population that we have, the fact that we're the county seat, so there's a lot of opportunities for professional services providers and things like that. We also have a highly educated workforce here, one of the most highly educated workforces that you'll find anywhere in the country, and you know, great transportation system and access to the markets in DC and Baltimore, and then, you know, even further to Boston, Chicago, Atlanta, all within very easy reach. So, you know, those are some of the big things that we use to promote Rockville as a great location. From an incentive point of view, we're very excited to announce that starting July 1 of this year, so this fiscal year that just began, Mayor and Council of the City of Rockville actually just approved some funding for us to have our first ever financial incentive program. So, yeah, we're very excited about it. There's two different programs. One is the Rockville Move program, which is modeled off of Montgomery County's Move program. And for those folks who may not know, Move stands for Make Office Vacancies Extinct. And to Montgomery County's credit, honestly, they started that program, I want to say 2 or 3 years ago, when a report had come out that showed the vacancy rates for the office market in Montgomery County, and they very proactively said, what can we do to attract new companies to move into Montgomery County? So the Rockville program basically mirrors the requirements of the county's program, and if a company is brand new to Montgomery County and new to Rockville and chooses to locate in the city of Rockville, they would qualify for both the Rockville Move program and the Montgomery County Move program. So great opportunity for some of those new companies coming in.
So out of state, they can take advantage of both of those. And I would imagine some amount per square foot or something along those lines to help mitigate or offset some of their upfront expenses.
Right. It's actually to assist with tenant fit-out costs, and the county's program, they can get up to $8 a square foot, and the city program, we cut that in half, and so if they move in the city, they can get up to $4 a square foot, so potentially up to $12 a square foot to assist them with tenant fit-out costs, and there's a max cap on that, etc. I mean, we didn't get a whole lot of money, so we don't want the one new company that moves in to take all the money, but
do you have any good case studies about that?
Well, okay, so like I said, it just got funded starting July 1, but I can tell you that from the county's Move program, we have actually had a couple of companies who have been located in the city of Rockville who took advantage of the Montgomery County Move program. For instance, Calibri Labs, which is a great big data company in the hospitality industry. They were new to the area, and they do a lot of data gathering for hotels and things like that to let them know what their customers want and how to better serve their clients. So it's a fascinating company, and they moved in a little over a year ago and are already growing and expanding in their Rockville location, so we're excited about that. Sentiva is another great company that actually they're headquartered in Oregon and opened an office here in Rockville. That they're in the life sciences industry. I forget exactly what they do, but they're in the life sciences arena and wanted to be closer to the FDA and to Capitol Hill. So they actually now have a Rockville location, and both of those companies were able to take advantage of the Montgomery County Move program. So we're excited to, within the next few months, be able to show some great successes with Rockville's Move program as well.
That's great. So national companies you don't have to be headquartered in Rockville. If they want to open any sort of office or an additional office, as you said, from Oregon, they can still qualify.
Absolutely, as long as they have never before had a location here, then they would qualify for the program. And, you know, we are targeting some of those high growth industries,
Sure.
life sciences, cybersecurity, technology firms. But there are other firms who can qualify as, you know, other industry types that would qualify as well. But, you know, we're looking to get a lot of bang for our buck using those public dollars to induce some new jobs created here in the city. So.
Yeah, I mean, between the health administration and FDA being here,
right.
NRC. Yeah, it's great.
How about for companies that are expanding within Rockville, not just relocating from outside of the area? They're already here, and they are growing, they are hiring.
Right. So one of the great things that we did here in Rockville is, you know, we looked at Montgomery County's MOVE program and said, that's fantastic. Let's not forget about our existing companies.
Right.
Most of, you know, in economic development, most of your job growth comes from your existing companies.
Right.
It's much easier to help 10 existing companies each add 5 new jobs than it is to attract a new company that brings 50 brand new jobs into the area.
Absolutely. Same with commercial real estate.
That's exactly right.
It's easier to keep a tenant, keep them
and
happy,
help them grow their
footprint. Them and grow within the building than it is to replace them and have the downtown vacancy.
Absolutely right. So we were trying to very strategically say, you know, what can we do to help our existing companies? So this program we call the Business Expansion Fund. It is targeted specifically to existing Rockville businesses. Again, to clarify the city boundaries, they do have to be within the municipal corporate limits of the city of Rockville for that.
So we're out.
Right.
Where we sit today.
Exactly. But it is to, again, assist them as they're expanding with their tenant fit-out costs for the new space that they would be occupying, and it's up to $5 a square foot, capped at a total of 10,000 square feet for the expansion. And we have already had our first applicant for that fund. So we just launched it July 1, and today is the 21st.
Right.
So we're excited about it, and we're hoping that program continues to receive additional funds, and that we can help a lot of our great companies continue to grow and thrive here.
Absolutely, and that's it. You alluded to they filled out an application. Is that sort of the process? I mean, do you ever envision a time when there's so many people vying for, you know, a finite amount of funds that what's the process? Is there a selection process? I guess is sort of the short way to say that.
Well, so we've put applications for both of those programs, both the Rockville MOVE and our Business Expansion Fund programs, on our website, which is rockvilleready.org, and so people can just look under the Business Incentives tab to find information. It's a fairly simple online application where we're asking things like, you know, how many square feet are you occupying, how many jobs, what's the average annual salary, what's your industry type, you know, those general types of questions. And then we also, to confirm that it's actually real and we're not just, you know, willy-nilly writing a check, right? Sure. You know, we ask to see a signed copy of the lease. We see their articles of incorporation. We make sure they're in good standing with the state of Maryland, Montgomery County, and city of Rockville on any tax issues, et cetera, et cetera. And then we actually have a city-appointed committee that we at Ready, so Michael Stiefvater is my business development manager, and I review the application. We make a determination about whether or not they qualify based on the criteria that were approved at mayor and council meetings. And then we send our recommendation to a committee that's made up of some city government employees from a variety of departments, including finance, the planning department, the city manager's office, et cetera, and ask them for their concurrence on our recommendation.
Gotcha.
So there's a little city oversight involved in that as well. And then, so I said we've already gotten one application. I'm waiting to hear back from the committee members on whether or not they approve our recommendation. And then once the company actually takes occupancy of their space, that's when we'll show up and give them not a big check, a regular size check so they can deposit it, and celebrate either new company or the expanding company.
Gotcha. So this is a retroactive or help them replace their costs, being that a lease has to be in place. Everything's already sort of been finalized, and then it's asking.
So you're right. So they would actually pay for the expenses and then get reimbursed for a portion of them once they're in the space. So,
understood.
Yeah.
That's all good. Well, fingers crossed for whoever that company
is.
Yeah. switching gears just a little bit, we talked about expanding companies and relocating companies, and one of the most popular sort of buzzwords in the market these days is the millennial. We consistently hear sort of various stereotypes, for lack of a better word, surrounding the millennials. You know, they want to live where they work, they don't want to drive. The mixing of business and personal activities is pretty seamless, and I'd say there's a few of us in this room that fall in that category.
Not all.
But I'm an old soul. So is Rockville, I guess, is Rockville seeing this this influx in workforce and embracing it? And if so, are we doing anything to attract millennials to the area? And some of these, as you said, the IT sort of firms and things like that millennials are attracted to as it stands.
So I think the short answer is yes. Things are changing dramatically in the way that developments are being built and what people want. And a great example of that is Rockville Town Center. You know, we've got tons of great restaurants opening up. You've got really great apartments, a hotel, and everything is within walking distance of the metro. So that ends up being something that it attracts the young professionals tremendously because, like you said, nobody wants to get in a car and sit in traffic for an hour and a half like a lot of us are used to doing.
Right.
So there's definitely
I just accomplished that.
there's definitely a lot of opportunities within Rockville for that type of mixed-use facility.
And I'll, add to that. So there's also, we talk a lot about millennials, and let's not leave out, like the baby boomers who are also downsizing, looking for other things. And I would also like to give a shout out to Gen Xers, my generation, because we have needs too. But the great thing about Rockville is there are a lot of different housing options, and it's the size of the place, and it's renting and owning options in different size, either apartments, condos, single-family homes, townhomes, whatever it happens to be. So it's having that variety of housing stock. And I think right now Mayor and Council are talking about looking at more affordable housing options and what can we do and where should we do that. And nowadays affordable housing doesn't mean cheap slum housing. It means places that are affordable, that people want to live in, where again you have the walkability and the access to amenities and metro. And Twin Brook, there's a great opportunity for a new development around the Twin Brook Metro, which would be a mixed use with a variety of housing and office park and entertainment. And I just think there are a lot of great things that are attractive to millennials. We can do more to make the city more attractive, but we also have things like Capital Bike Share, and zip car parking areas, and all those types of things that millennials are looking for. Because they don't want to own cars, they don't even want to own bikes. So, what can we do to make that easier for them? And how many more Poke-Go stops can we make in the city to get them all involved?
Wow.
I'm so timely.
You are. I like it.
Totally up to speed.
I don't even know what it means.
I don't either.
And to build on that, Michelle, is the Chamber doing anything to kind of attract these millennials and bring them into Rockville and
Absolutely.
get them included in the Chamber?
So, typically in the past, I would say chambers were very much, either the salesperson within a company, or it was almost a stereotype of who would show up to our events. And more we're seeing young professionals who want to get more involved in their community and want to get out there and network and, want to go out and make those connections. So we recently, beginning of this year, launched our Young Professionals Committee. And yes, and we have a member of it right here.
I'm on it, yes.
And we're planning events. We've had, I think we've had 2 happy hours now, and we just had one the other day at World of Beer. It was fantastic. Probably had between 40 and 50 people there. And we're going to be doing a really cool headshot event. I mean, everybody needs a professional headshot that's not a selfie. And but they're expensive, and not every up-and-coming young professional will have the ability to spend $300 to get a professional headshot done. So we have our photographer Bob Blanken is going to come and do it for a very reasonable price for everybody. So we're going to do it, I think in November for the young professionals. It's going to be a great event, having mixing, mingling, and getting your picture taken. So we're trying to broaden our programs to attract I hate using the word millennials, but millennials and young professionals from the organizations. And more and more you're seeing the larger companies sharing information about upcoming events with their younger staff. And that's bringing out a lot of the younger associates that you wouldn't necessarily have seen in the past. So we're definitely heading in a great direction with regards to that.
Yeah, that all sounds great. Just a quick pause for our listeners. We failed to mention at the beginning, if you have any questions for Michelle or Lori, please feel free to type them into the box on your screen, and we're happy to answer them at the end. Back to our regularly scheduled program. On the heels of discussing millennials and young professionals and things like that, we also hear a lot about the entrepreneurial spirit that the county and Rockville has. What are we doing, I guess, to foster that sort of that entrepreneurial spirit? You said we have a very well-educated workforce, and we see, especially in biotech, we see a lot of what we'll call spin-outs. People with new technology and new ideas that stand these companies up and can become very successful. Is there anything in addition to some of these other incentive programs that we've talked about that Rockville is doing to kind of foster that spirit?
Yeah, absolutely. And just to throw this out before we even start talking about it is, over 95% of all the businesses in Montgomery County are small businesses. People always hear about the big names. You hear about the big guys all the time, but the vast majority of the companies that are here and the companies that we work with are actually small business or startup, 1 or 2 person businesses. So a lot of what we do at the Rockville level and at the county level, and honestly at the state level, is working with these small startup entrepreneurs. But one of the great programs that we have at Ready, where we focus a lot on startups and entrepreneurs, is the Maryland Women's Business Center, which is a program that grew out of a feasibility study that was done in 2010 that said there is a demand by women-owned businesses to have specific support services for them because a lot of women and women-owned entrepreneurs are intimidated to go to networking events and talk to some of their male counterparts just because it's kind of a brand new situation for them. So in 2010, we started the Women's Business Center. In 2013, we became an SBA-recognized Women's Business Center, so we are part of a national network of Women's Business Centers, and we offer monthly workshops and seminars on a variety of different topics. The basics are the ABCs of starting your business, how to negotiate with your landlord, how to talk to a banker. We help entrepreneurs write their business plans so that they actually have a plan in place. We actually do an annual business plan competition where we get a lot of great private sector sponsor dollars to help fund some of these startup businesses. So there are a lot of great resources out there, and we partner a lot, again, with Montgomery County, with the small business development centers, with SCORE volunteers, and with actually a variety of volunteer attorneys and accountants and other professionals in the community who take their time to come into our offices to provide some pro bono assistance to some of these startups.
And are these just open to the community as a whole?
Yep, open to the community as a whole. They're
not just women.
No, anyone can come. It's targeted to women, but and about probably 90% of the attendees are women, but 10% are who we call the smart men who decide to show up for that as well.
The married men. And we offer those services here in Rockville is our home base headquarters location. We also have a satellite office for the Women's Business Center in Bowie in Prince George's County, and we offer services in Frederick as well. So we're getting support from both Prince George's County and Frederick County, and are looking to expand into Howard County later this year. So we're very excited about that, and there are over 1,200 entrepreneurs who come through those workshops every year.
And one of the things that once somebody is kind of started up here, a lot of times they don't know what resources are available to them as a business in Rockville. And so every year, Ready and the Chamber and the city get together and we do kind of a workshop, a half-day program where we talk to people about the resources available to them. We have people from different departments in the city come in and talk about that. We have police come in. We talk a little bit about our organization, and it's just a way of helping people navigate this city as a business owner or somebody who is in business in Rockville. Because a lot of people don't know what's out there. So this is an opportunity to kind of share that with them.
Yeah, and sometimes it's just about meeting people.
Right.
It's about making those connections.
Yeah,
so,
networking.
if you've met the person who does sign reviews, then when you go to open your business and want to put a sign up, you can pick up the phone and say, hey, I met you at whatever. Remember, I wanted to talk to you about this thing. And it just makes for a more personal experience as these businesses are getting started.
Right. It's not what you know, it's who you know,
That's
right?
right, yeah.
So that's actually a great transition. Michelle, what's through the benefits of the chamber, what can a new person come to see from that?
Well, first and foremost, they get to see me and Lori all the time.
Yeah, right, exactly.
That's right. You get more of this wonderful conversation.
That's right.
Joining the chamber is a kind of, it offers a lot of different benefits. First of all, it offers networking opportunities. And the one thing that I love about our membership and our board of directors, that's a very welcoming group of people. You're not going to walk in and see a bunch of people in little circles talking to one another and not being very welcoming. It's a very welcoming and open group. So our networking events are great. We have the mix and mingles every month, or we're usually at a bar, and between 50 and 100 people, and everybody's just kind of getting to know one another. Now, when I say welcoming, a lot of people think that I mean it's just happy-go-lucky, no business happens, but a lot of business happens. A lot of business happens. It's just a very approachable environment. We also have Good Morning Rockville, which is our educational series. We try to have a panel discussion on something that's pertinent to local businesses. I think in September we're going to be partnering with the environmental protection folks, and they're going to be talking a little bit about incentives or different resources available to businesses from them in order to kind of minimize their footprint a little bit. Light bulbs and, different type of energy saving techniques. So we have different types of webinars. And, you can sit on committees, you get to know people, you can participate in legislative activities. We do a lot of advocacy for our businesses within the city of Rockville and in the county at large. And it's a really great way of connecting yourself to your community. We also do volunteer events, because it's very important to give back to your community.
Absolutely.
So we do that usually every other month. So it's a really great organization, and a lot of business happens and a lot of friendships are made.
For the chamber plug, how do people get involved? Is it simply go to the website? Is there?
Yeah, absolutely. You can go to the website. It's www.rockvillechamber.org. Or you can call the office and you can ask for Michelle directly. You can ask for me, 301-424-9300.
Perfect.
And we'd be honored to chat with you.
Yeah, great. And you have some pretty exciting news. The new rewards card is about to launch.
Yes. Rockville Rewards is a program that is funded through a grant from the city. And basically what happens is our partner nonprofits have the opportunity to sell these cards for $25, and you get discounts at all the participating businesses. And there's a lot of participating businesses in Rockville. And that $25 that the nonprofit sells it for is kept by the nonprofit. So it's a great way for the nonprofits to raise money, and it's also a great way for the businesses to get their name out there through some free marketing by saying, hey, if you bring us this card, we'll give you 10% discount or a free dessert or whatever. So that program is launching again this year. We have new cards, a new look, a new website. We're very excited, and I would highly recommend that everybody check it out. That is rockvillerewards.com.
Great. That's all great stuff. Well, I think we've come to the end of the discussion portion. We want to thank you guys very, very much for your time. I certainly learned a lot. I know Drew learned a lot, and I have a feeling our listeners learned a lot too. So with that, we'll go to the screen here and just see if we do have any questions that came in. It looks like we have one.
You do, Aaron, and the question is, are there any incentive programs for other business classes?
So the Rockville Move and Business Expansion Fund is actually for folks who are taking space or expanding in either Class A or B office space, or Class A or B flex and industrial space. So we were trying to be a little more flexible because we know that we have some users in some of those other building types, and we would take a look at other industry classification types and would try to work with you to see if we can make something fit for things that are non-target, high growth, high wage paying industries.
So the question comes back to you of auto repair is the class I was referring to.
That's one I would have to, I don't know the answer to that off the top of my head.
A lot of auto users can occupy space in what we would consider industrial.
Correct.
So if it's a Class A or B industrial space that said auto company is occupying, it sounds like they would qualify.
Well, it also depends because there are a number of other factors. So it's going to depend on, you have to meet a certain minimum annual wage rate, certain minimum number of jobs created, those types of things. So it's not just about the industry type. It's about the impact overall that it will have in the city on job creation and salaries and things like that.
So another one is, my business needs lots of internet bandwidth. Are there fiber lit buildings in Rockville?
We are seeing more buildings, converting over to fiber. A lot of the buildings do have fiber run to them, but it's not actually piped into the individual tenant spaces. There are a couple buildings we'd be happy to run a report and come up with an accurate list following the webinar. So you can feel free to reach out to us, either myself or Drew Davis, my colleague, and we're happy to walk through that with you. But the short answer is yes, there are some. Long answer is that there are some, but not everybody's caught up with the fiber movement yet.
So back to the question from the earlier caller, so to speak. Where can we find what the minimum criteria is?
So again, if you go to our website, Rockville, REDI, rockvilleready.org, and look for the page with incentives, there will be a link that gives you a description of the program, and you can see the sample application. And then if you have questions, Michael Seafotter in my office, who's our business development manager, you can email or call him directly, and he can help walk you through the process or answer any of those specific questions you might have.
And one last time, could you give us your website addresses and your phone numbers again for our participants?
RockvilleREDI.org, rockvilleready.org, and our number is 301-315-8096.
And it's rockvillechamber.org, 301-424-9300.
And then the SHEER Partners information is obviously up on the screen. So that looks like we've taken all of our questions. Both Aaron and Drew's addresses are up here. Feel free to reach out with questions or follow-up. And thank you so much for joining us today.